Welcome to another unforgettable story. This tale is a roller coaster of heart, courage, and life-changing twists that will leave you speechless. Get ready to meet a boy whose kindness sparks an adventure beyond imagination. Buckle up. You won't want to miss a single moment. The sun beat down on the cracked asphalt of Route 17, a lonely stretch cutting to the Alabama countryside. 12-year-old Jamal Carter pedaled his rusty bike, the wheels wobbling, but his spirit steady. His deep brown eyes sparkled with dreams bigger than the small town of Willow Creek could hold. Every day, he rode this road to deliver newspapers, saving every penny for a future he could only imagine. Jamal's life wasn't easy. Raised by his grandmother, Miss Clara, in a modest home with peeling paint, he knew struggle like an old friend. But his heart was a furnace of hope, fueled by stories of heroes who changed the world. Today, though, something felt different. The air hummed with possibility, like the calm before a storm. As he rounded a bend, he spotted a sleek black SUV stranded on the shoulder, its rear tire flatter than a pancake. A man in a crisp suit stood beside it, looking as out of place as a peacock in a henhouse. What would Jamal do? Would this moment be the spark that changed everything? Jamal slowed his bike, curiosity tugging at him like a fish on a line. The man by the SUV was tall, with salt and pepper hair and a face creased with frustration. He was muttering under his breath, kicking at the dirt like it had personally wronged him. Jamal noticed the man's polished shoes were caked with dust. A city slicker, no doubt. "Hey, mister, you need help?" Jamal called out, his voice steady despite the stranger's scowl. The man, who introduced himself as Victor Langston, barely looked up, waving him off like a pesky fly. But Jamal wasn't one to back down. He'd fixed plenty of tires from Miss Clara's old Buick, and he wasn't about to let this guy sweat through his fancy suit. Victor's impatience softened when Jamal knelt by the tire, inspecting it with the confidence of someone twice his age. "Kid, you know what you're doing?" Victor asked, skepticism dripping from his tone. Jamal just grinned, his hands already moving. What was it about this boy that made Victor pause? Jamal worked fast, pulling a small toolkit from his backpack, a gift from Miss Clara for his 10th birthday. His fingers danced over the lug nuts, loosening them with practiced ease. Victor watched, arms crossed, his irritation giving way to curiosity. This kid wasn't just handy. He had a fire in him, a quiet determination that reminded Victor of someone long ago. "You do this a lot?" Victor asked, leaning against the SUV. Jamal nodded, sharing how he'd taught himself to fix things around the house to help his grandmother. His voice was soft but steady, carrying the weight of responsibility no 12-year-old should bear. Victor's eyes narrowed, sensing a story beneath the surface. As Jamal tightened the spare tire, he glanced up, catching Victor's gaze. For a moment, the world shrank to just them, two strangers on a dusty road, bound by a flat tire and something unspoken. What was Victor hiding behind his polished exterior? With the tire fixed, Victor reached for his wallet, pulling out a crisp $100 bill. "For your trouble, kid," he said, but Jamal shook his head, his pride as unyielding as the Alabama sun. "I didn't do it for money, mister," he said, wiping sweat from his brow. "Just helping out." Victor's eyebrow arched, intrigued by the boy's resolve. Before Jamal could pedal away, Victor called out, "Wait, what's your name?" Jamal hesitated, then answered, "Jamal Carter." Victor's lips twitched into a half-smile. "Jamal, I'm someone who pays debts. You ever heard of Langston Enterprises?" Jamal's eyes widened. Everyone knew the tech giant that powered half the world's gadgets. Victor handed him a business card, its edges embossed with gold. "Call me if you ever need anything," he said, climbing into his SUV. As the engine roared to life, Jamal stared at the card, heart pounding. Was this his golden ticket, or just a fleeting moment? That night, Jamal sat at the kitchen table, the business card glowing under the dim light of a flickering bulb. Miss Clara hummed an old gospel tune as she stirred a pot of collards, her hands worn but steady. Jamal told her about Victor, his words tumbling out like a river breaking free. Her eyes softened, but worry creased her forehead. "People like that don't just give out cards for no reason," she said, her voice a mix of caution and hope. Jamal nodded, but his mind was racing. Langston Enterprises was a world away from Willow Creek, a world of glass towers and big dreams. Could he really belong there? As he lay in bed, the card tucked under his pillow, Jamal's thoughts churned. What if Victor's offer was a test? What if he called and everything changed? Sleep eluded him, the weight of possibility heavier than the humid Alabama night. The next morning, Jamal biked to the town's only payphone, the business card trembling in his hand. His heart thumped like a drum as he dialed Victor's number. Each ring felt like an eternity, and when Victor's voice finally answered, Jamal's throat went dry. "Mr. Langston? It's Jamal. From yesterday." Victor's tone was warm but sharp, like a man who measured every word. "I wondered if you'd call," he said. "Meet me in Birmingham tomorrow. I've got something to show you." Birmingham? That was 2 hours away. A city Jamal had only seen on TV. Miss Clara would never let him go, or would she? Jamal hung up, his mind a whirlwind of excitement and fear. This was his chance, but it meant stepping into the unknown. What did Victor want to show him? And why did it feel like his whole life was about to turn upside down? Back home, Jamal faced Miss Clara, the business card laid out like evidence in the trial. Her eyes, sharp as ever, studied him, searching for the boy she'd raised and the man he was becoming. "You sure about this, child?" she asked, her voice soft but heavy with concern. Jamal nodded, his resolve firm despite the butterflies in his stomach. Miss Clara sighed, her hands folding over his. "You got your mama's fire," she said, a tear glinting in her eye. "Go, but you promise me you'll be careful." She pressed a worn silver cross into his palm, a talisman of her love. Jamal hugged her tight, feeling the weight of her trust. The next morning, he boarded a creaky bus to Birmingham, the cross in his pocket and Victor's card in his hand. As the fields of Willow Creek faded behind him, Jamal felt like he was crossing a line between his old life and something new. What awaited him in the city? Birmingham's skyline loomed like a promise, its glass towers gleaming under the midday sun. Jamal stepped off the bus, his sneakers scuffing against the pavement as he clutched Victor's card. Langston Enterprises headquarters was a monolith of steel and glass, its doors guarded by men in suits who eyed Jamal like he didn't belong. Inside, Victor greeted him with a firm handshake, his smile both welcoming and calculating. "You're punctual," he said, leading Jamal to an elevator that shot them skyward. The view from the top floor stole Jamal's breath. Birmingham stretched out like a map of possibility. But Victor's next words hit harder. "I'm looking for someone special, Jamal. Someone with heart and grit." Jamal's pulse raced. Was this a job? A test? Victor's eyes held a challenge, daring him to prove himself. What was the millionaire really after, and could Jamal rise to it? Victor led Jamal to a sleek conference room where a single laptop sat on a glass table. "This is your first test," Victor said, his voice low and serious. "Fix the code on that screen. It's a prototype for a new app, and it's broken." Jamal stared at the lines of code, his heart sinking. He'd only dabbled in coding at the library's ancient computers, but he wasn't about to back down. Sitting down, he scanned the code, his mind racing to recall the basics he'd taught himself. Victor watched, arms crossed, his silence louder than any command. Hours passed, sweat beading on Jamal's forehead as he debugged line by line. Finally, the app flickered to life, a simple interface glowing on the screen. Victor's nod was slight, but his eyes gleamed with approval. What was this test really about, and what came next? As they left the conference room, Victor's demeanor softened. "You remind me of someone," he said, his voice tinged with something Jamal couldn't place. Regret, maybe? He led Jamal to a private office, its walls lined with photos of a younger Victor, smiling beside a boy who looked eerily familiar. "That was my son, Marcus," Victor said, his voice barely above a whisper. "He had your fire, but I lost him to my own mistakes." Jamal's heart ached at the pain in Victor's eyes. Was this why Victor had taken interest in him? Was Jamal a stand-in for a ghost? Victor shook off the moment, handing Jamal a sleek tablet. "Keep this," he said. "There's more to come." As Jamal left the tower, the tablet felt heavier than it should. What was Victor's true motive? On the bus back to Willow Creek, Jamal powered on the tablet, its screen glowing with an app labeled Project Spark. It was a coding platform filled with challenges and tutorials far beyond anything he'd seen at the library. His fingers itched to dive in, but a text from an unknown number stopped him cold. "Meet me at Willow Creek Park tomorrow. You need to know the truth." The next day, Jamal biked to park, the tablet tucked in his backpack. A girl his age waited by the swings, her braids swaying as she waved him over. "I'm Kira," she said, her eyes sharp with urgency. "My dad worked for Langston. Victor's not what he seems." Kira's words hit like a punch. She claimed Victor was using Jamal for a secret project, one that could make or break Langston Enterprises. Was she telling the truth, or was this a trap? Kira led Jamal to a quiet corner of the park, her voice low as she explained. "Project Spark isn't just an app. It's a revolutionary AI, and Victor thinks you're the key to finishing it." Jamal's mind spun. An AI? He was just a kid from Willow Creek, not some tech genius. Why him? Kira pulled out her own tablet, showing him files she'd borrowed from her dad's computer. They detailed Victor's obsession with creating an AI that could learn like a human, inspired by his son Marcus's unfinished work. Jamal's coding test wasn't random. It was a piece of the puzzle. As the sun dipped below the trees, Jamal felt a mix of fear and excitement. He could walk away now, back to a simple life. Or he could dive into Victor's world, risks and all. What would he choose? That night, Jamal lay awake, the tablet glowing beside him. Project Spark's challenges were addictive, each one pushing his skills further. But Kira's warning echoed in his mind. Victor wasn't telling him everything. Was he a pawn in a billionaire's game? Or could he actually make a difference? Miss Clara noticed his restlessness, sitting on the edge of his bed. "You got a big heart, Jamal," she said, "but don't let it blind you." Her words steadied him, reminding him of the strength he carried. He decided to confront Victor, to demand the truth. The next morning, Jamal dialed Victor's number, his voice firm. "I'm coming back to Birmingham," he said, "but I want answers." Victor's silence was heavy, but he agreed to meet. What would Jamal uncover? In Victor's office, Jamal stood tall, the tablet clutched like a shield. "Why me?" he asked, his voice cutting through the silence. "What's Project Spark really about?" Victor leaned back in his chair, his eyes searching Jamal's face like he was seeing someone else. Project Spark was Marcus's dream, Victor admitted. An AI that could think, feel, create like a human. He died before he could finish it. You have a spark. Jamal's chest tightened. He wasn't just a kid to Victor. He was a second chance. But Victor's next words chilled him. There's a rival company after the project. If they get it first, it could be dangerous. Jamal's heart raced. Was he in over his head? Victor's warning wasn't abstract. That evening, as Jamal left the tower, a black car trailed him through Birmingham streets. His pulse pounded as he ducked into an alley, the cross in his pocket a small comfort. Whoever was following him knew about Project Spark, and they wanted him out of the picture. Back in Willow Creek, Jamal confided in Kira, who wasn't surprised. "My dad's heard rumors," she said. "A company called NextGen is after Victor's work. They'll do anything to get it." Kira's eyes were fierce, but her hands shook. She was scared, too. Jamal realized he couldn't go back to his old life. Project Spark was bigger than him, bigger than Victor. But could he trust a millionaire? Or was Kira right to doubt him? Jamal and Kira met in secret, their tablets linked as they dug into Project Spark's code. Kira was a coding prodigy, her fingers flying as she explained the AI's potential. It could change the world, she said, but in the wrong hands, it could control it. Jamal felt the weight of her words, but also a thrill. This was his chance to be a hero. They devised a plan, finished the AI before NextGen could steal it. Jamal would work on the core algorithms, while Kira hacked into NextGen systems to slow them down. It was risky, but Jamal's heart burned with purpose. As they parted, Kira grabbed his arm. "Be careful, Jamal. These people don't play nice." Her warning lingered as he biked home under the stars. What dangers were waiting in the shadows? At midnight, Jamal sat in his room, the tablet's glow casting shadows on the walls. He dove into Project Spark's code, his mind racing to solve its final puzzle. The AI needed a heart, a way to make ethical choices. Jamal thought of Miss Clara's lessons about right and wrong, pouring them into the code. Meanwhile, Kira texted updates. She breached next-gen servers, planting false data to throw them off. But her last message was frantic. They know we're on to them. Watch your back. Jamal's stomach dropped. Had he underestimated the enemy? As he typed, a creak outside his window made him freeze. Was it just the wind, or had NextGen found him? The creak was no accident. Jamal peeked through the blinds to see a figure in a hoodie lurking in the yard. His heart pounded as he grabbed the tablet and slipped out the back door, biking toward Kira's house. The night was thick with danger, every shadow a threat. Kira met him at her garage, her face pale. "They tried to hack my tablet," she whispered. "We're running out of time." Together, they worked through the night, their fingers flying over keyboards. Jamal's code was close to complete, but NextGen was closer than ever. By dawn, they locked the AI's core, but a chilling email arrived. Stop or Willow Creek burns. Jamal's blood ran cold. How far would NextGen go? Jamal and Kira knew they couldn't hide forever. They needed Victor's help. But could they trust him? Jamal called him, his voice steady despite the fear gnawing at him. "We're close, but NextGen's after us," he said. Victor's silence was heavy. Then, "Meet me at the old mill outside town. Bring the tablet." The mill was a crumbling relic, its rusted gears silent under the moon. Jamal and Kira arrived, tablets in hand, but Victor wasn't alone. 2 men in suits flanked him, their eyes cold. "You've done well," Victor said, but his tone was off. Was this a trap? Before Jamal could speak, headlights pierced the darkness. NextGen had found them. The showdown was here. The NextGen agents stepped from their cars, their faces hidden by the night. Victor's men drew weapons, and Jamal's heart stopped. "Stay behind me," Kira whispered, her voice fierce. But Victor raised a hand, his voice calm. "No one's fighting tonight." To Jamal's shock, Victor turned to the NextGen leader. "You want the AI? It's not ready, but the boy who's building it is." Jamal's blood ran cold. Was Victor selling him out? But Victor's next move stunned everyone. He handed the NextGen leader a blank tablet. "Take this and go." As NextGen retreated, confused, Victor winked at Jamal. Had he just outsmarted them, or was this another layer of his game? Back at the mill, Victor finally laid his cards on the table. "Project Spark isn't just an AI," he said. "It's a legacy. Marcus wanted it to help people, not control them." He looked at Jamal, his eyes soft. "You're not just fixing code. You're finishing his dream." Jamal's throat tightened. He wasn't a replacement for Marcus. He was a partner in something bigger. Kira squeezed his hand, her smile fierce. "We're in this together," she said. But the danger wasn't over. NextGen wouldn't stop. Victor handed them a secure drive. "Finish the AI here, where they can't reach you." The mill became their fortress. But for how long? In the mill's dusty attic, Jamal and Kira worked feverishly, their tablets linked to the secure drive. The AI was alive, its responses growing smarter with every line of code. Jamal poured his heart into it, thinking of Miss Clara of Willow Creek, of a world where kids like him could dream big. Kira's hacks kept NextGen at bay, but the strain was showing. Her eyes were bloodshot, her hands trembling. "We're close," she said, her voice hoarse. "But they're getting closer." Jamal nodded, his resolve ironclad. This wasn't just about him anymore. As the AI's final algorithm clicked into place, a crash echoed below. NextGen had breached the mill. Time was up. The mill's walls shook as NextGen's agents stormed in, their footsteps heavy on the stairs. Jamal grabbed the drive, Kira clutching her tablet. "Through the back," she hissed, leading him to a rusted hatch. They scrambled into a tunnel, the air damp and cold. Above, voices shouted, but the tunnel was a maze, buying them time. Jamal's heart pounded, the cross in his pocket, a reminder of Miss Clara's faith in him. Kira's hand found his in the dark, her grip steady. "We're not done yet," she said. They emerged in a field, the mill's shadow behind them. But headlights cut through the dawn. NextGen wasn't giving up. Where could they go now? As they ran, a pickup truck screeched to a stop, its driver waving them over. It was Miss Clara's friend, Old Man Tucker, his face grim. "Get in," he barked. Jamal and Kira dove into the bed of the truck, the drive clutched tight. Tucker gunned the engine, dust flying as Next Gen's cars gave chase. Tucker's voice was rough but kind. "Clara called me, said you kids were in trouble." Jamal's heart swelled. His grandmother's love was a shield, even now. They sped toward Willow Creek, the drive humming with the AI's potential. But Next Gen was relentless, their cars gaining. Tucker's truck was fast, but not fast enough. What could Jamal do to turn the tide? In the truck, Jamal plugged the drive into his tablet. The AI springing to life. "Help us," he whispered, typing furiously. The AI responded, its voice synthetic but warm, analyzing threats, deploying countermeasures. Jamal's eyes widened as it hacked Next Gen's cars, stalling their engines one by one. Kira cheered, but the victory was short-lived. One car remained, its driver reckless, ramming Tucker's truck. The impact sent them swerving, the drive skidding across the truck bed. Jamal lunged, catching it just in time. Tucker pulled into Willow Creek. The town's lights a beacon of safety. But the final Next-Gen car was still behind them. Was the AI enough to save them? Tucker stopped at the town square, where Miss Clara and a crowd of neighbors waited, armed with nothing but courage. "We protect our own," Clara shouted, her voice a rallying cry. Jamal and Kira jumped from the truck, the drive in hand, as the Next-Gen car screeched to a halt. The driver stepped out, a cold smile on his face. "Hand over the drive, kid," he said. But Jamal stood tall, the AI's voice in his ear. "I'm with you." With a tap, the AI broadcasted Next-Gen's plans to every device in town, exposing their corruption. The crowd surged forward, their anger a wall. The Next-Gen agent hesitated, then fled. Had Jamal just won the war? As dawn broke, Willow Creek buzzed with triumph. The AI's broadcast had gone viral. Next-Gen stock plummeting as the world learned of their schemes. Jamal and Kira sat with Miss Clara, the drive safe at last. Victor arrived, his face a mix of pride and relief. "You did it," he said, shaking Jamal's hand. "Project Spark is yours now. Finish it your way." Jamal's heart soared. He wasn't just a kid anymore. He was a creator, a hero. Kira grinned, her eyes bright with plans for the future. But question lingered. What would Jamal do with the AI now that it was his? Back home, Jamal and Kira worked on Project Spark, turning it into a tool for good. They coded features to help kids like them learn, dream, and create. Schools across the country adopted it, and Jamal's name became a whisper of hope in places like Willow Creek. Victor funded their work, but he stepped back, letting Jamal lead. "You're the spark now," he said, his voice free of the grief that once haunted him. Jamal felt Marcus's legacy in every line of code, but it was his own heart that drove him. Miss Clara watched, her pride brighter than the sun. "You're my hero," she whispered, and Jamal knew he'd made her proud. But what was next for him? Jamal didn't move to a big city or become a tech mogul. Instead, he stayed in Willow Creek, building a community center where kids could learn to code, dream, and grow. Project Spark became a beacon, not for profit, but for change, proving that a small town could shine as bright as any city. Kira stayed by his side. Her hacks now focused on protecting the AI from those who'd misuse it. Together, they were unstoppable, their friendship a fire that no one could extinguish. Victor visited often, no longer a stranger but a mentor, a friend. Jamal's life wasn't perfect, but it was his. He'd turned a flat tire into a legacy, proving that kindness and courage could change the world. Years later, Jamal stood in the community center, watching kids code their own dreams into reality. The silver cross hung around his neck, a reminder of the journey that brought him here. Kira, now a tech innovator, grinned as they launched Project Spark's global platform. Free for anyone with a dream. Miss Clara's laughter filled the room, her pride a light that never dimmed. Victor, older now, clapped Jamal's shoulder. "You're the future," he said, and Jamal believed it. His story wasn't just his. It was Willow Creek's, Kira's, Marcus's. As the kids cheered, Jamal looked out at the horizon, knowing this was only the beginning. His heart, once a spark, was now a flame, lighting the way for others. A boy's kindness changed the world. Will you carry a spark forward? Thank you for joining Jamal's incredible journey. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button, share it with your friends, and leave a comment telling us what moved you most. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more unforgettable stories that inspire and amaze.